Why, yes, I did make this intro. Thank you for noticing. It sucks. Fuck you. So I've talked about YouTube exposure quite a bit here on this channel, and this is my final video on the subject, at least for quite some time. I think that exposure is one of the biggest, if not the biggest problems that all YouTubers struggle with, especially small channels because they don't have a very big subscriber base to push them to the top of the search results. So instead they have to find workarounds as a way to get anywhere, and that's why things like shoutouts, clickbait, self-promotion, and drama are so prevalent on YouTube these days. Now, why is this important? Well, I think it's important in the application of how these methods are used. Inherently, I don't believe that any of these methods are bad. I've outlined my grievances with the various exposure methods in the past videos, but let me go ahead and give you a short recap here of my opinions. Shoutouts are bad because they put bigger content creators on a pedestal, giving them more power over who people watch and who people don't, creating a more uneven playing field. Clickbait is bad because it gives a way for content of a low quality to be promoted on the site, and it is typically deceptive in nature. Self-promotion is bad if used as a method of growth through deceptive or annoying means. And while I most prominently use the method of drama, it is something that can easily be bandwagoned onto and give exposure to people who might not be deserving. Now, while all these methods have things that can be bad about them, the importance is what they do to YouTube. They degrade its overall content quality, originality, and personality. And it forces people to comply with something, to have someone, to scam someone, to criticize someone, if they're going to find an audience that actually cares when they do something original. For an outside example, let's look at Bionic Pig. A lot of people would classify him as an original YouTuber. He does skits, songs, what have you, and people generally seem to think that he's a pretty funny guy. Here's an interview he had with another YouTuber named Mabron a few weeks back.
And then the one after that was my skit channel, which is where I'm Not Your Friend Anymore, Hot Wet Soup, and Ted's Money Place came from. Those all were actually videos from that channel. But that channel I think I only got to 30 subscribers on that channel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then I think it's hilarious because now I'm Not Your Friend Anymore is like my third most viewed video.
So here's a YouTuber who did skits on his old channel. Some of the very same skits that he has up on his new channel and are very popular. And those videos got nowhere. And I'd actually say that the only reason that he has 30-something thousand subscribers now is because of his shoutouts and connections to the community. And that's because we've reached a point on YouTube where what you make is so inconsequential to the amount of success that you actually achieve. It's more about how many people saw it, and if you want a ton of people to come to your videos, then just self-promote and clickbait the shit out of it, because if 10,000 people come see your video, you're guaranteed to get at least a few subscribers out of that video. Even if the majority of people who saw it absolutely hated it, and you put virtually no effort into it, there will still be a few people who are like, oh, I like the way he said that, or that part was a little funny. Now, will those people be diehard lovers of your content? It's unlikely, but they may give your next video a shot, and that already gives you a leg up on everyone else. For another example, let's go to Jack Thomas. Now, I know I've talked about Jack a lot here, but if you watched my video on him, then you saw me talk about his "This Should Not Be on the Trending tab" video, where he basically completely copied an H3H3 video. That video has 144 likes and 9 dislikes at the time of this writing. He literally took every single point out of H3H3's video, put them in his own video, and that video has 144 likes and 9 dislikes. Are you fucking kidding me? And sure, maybe the people liking it didn't see H3H3's video, but even so, his video absolutely sucked dick. Fucking gagged on it. Jesus fucking Christ, he's so goddamn boring, and he got 144 likes and 9 dislikes. But he's doing YouTube correctly. Spend 90% of your time marketing your video and 10% of your time actually making it. And that's the lesson of YouTube exposure as it is right now. Deceive, beg, or lie your way to the top, and then apologize for it once you get there. Because if you don't do something like that, well, the odds certainly aren't in your favor. And that's not to say that you can't create success just by making good content, but it is to say that it's going to be a lot more difficult for you to do so. But you may be asking, well, how does this stifle originality or degrade content? And the way that I see it is this. YouTube has a ton of content on it. Probably more than you could even watch in a lifetime, with more and more being added every single day. And when you have so much content on the site, it is very hard to stand out from the crowd and not be eclipsed by those who came before and are already well established in the field. And generally, being creative does not help, because when you make something creative or different, someone still has to find it. And in order for that to happen, someone has to be searching for the correct phrase and then click on your video out of all the other videos in the lineup. And if you're not talking about something that's relevant to common interest, then it's going to be very difficult to make that happen. Thus, you kind of get boxed into specific categories if you want to grow at a reasonable pace. Now, you could always clickbait, but honestly, when you're smaller, it's going to be much harder because people aren't exceptionally invested in you. So when you put out a title like, "I can't believe this happened," people don't generally give a fuck about what you can't believe happened because they don't know you and they're more likely to see you as a clickbaiter and dislike you right off the bat. Now, that's not to say that you couldn't clickbait with something like PlayStation 5 unveiled, but it's just going to have to be a different, more misleading form, and it's going to piss people off even more. For shoutouts, it's kind of a luck thing. I have gotten one shoutout that I'm aware of in a Manga Common video where he showed my Sinnoh clip that I made in my first video, which was great, and thank you for that if you happen to be watching this Manga Common, but it was purely based on circumstance. I assume he was just watching a video and I got recommended in the sidebar or something, purely out of luck of the situation. And for kind of a comparison of how you can't really force luck, I actually tweeted my Colossal is Crazy Trivial episode to Colossal, and I don't think that he watched it, or at least if he did, he didn't remark. So you can't really force a shout out or acknowledgement. It either comes from luck or people you've become acquainted with via you reaching out or them finding your video, at least in my experience. And obviously, spamming a video to someone is more likely to get you blocked than followed if you're gonna go fishing. As for self-promotion, as cheap as it can be at times, you cannot argue with the results of it. When I was making my original video on Jack Thomas, he had around 3,000 subscribers. Since then, he's released one video, but he's gained 1,500 subscribers, and you cannot argue with that result. Now, you can argue whether or not in the end it will be beneficial to him to have done something like this, because the foundations were kind of built on people he lied to about coming to his channel. However, those people come in, he gets his watch time up, gets more favored in the search results, and through that, he can kind of accrue outside subscribers who don't even know that he self-promoted for his audience. And since his content isn't built on something like a Shoutout Sunday, it's difficult to argue that it will ever come around to bite him in the long run. A perfect example of this would be Elvis the Alien. He's another person who self-promoted, again talked about by Tide in his Sinnoh video at the beginning of the video. I'll link that again if you guys didn't check it out in my self-promotion video. But his self-promotion was very similar to what Jack Thomas is doing now. And people may or may not know about him doing so. But the point is, he's already gotten over 100,000 subscribers with no real foreseeable end to his growth. And at this point, I don't even think that anybody cares that he's self-promoted. I mean, maybe they lost some respect for him, but they're still probably going to watch his videos at the end of the day. So it's hard to say that doing these things to get a leg up on the competition is going to have any lasting effect on you in the end, because Elvis the Alien is one of the biggest commentary channels at the moment, and if he can do it and get away with it, why can't everyone? Now, all that being said, I personally don't want to do any of it. I don't want to do misleading clickbait because then I'd be a hypocrite for mocking others who do it. I don't want to deceptively self-promote because I see it as an undignified way to grow. I don't want to go around fishing for shoutouts because I think they should be earned, and I don't want to suck up to anyone. And finally, I guess I kind of lied because I do want to do drama because it's what I'm doing now and I enjoy it. But I don't want to bandwagon trending topics with just a copy and paste opinion. I want to bring something different to what I say, whether that be comedy or perspective. And so far, I think I've done a pretty good job of it. However, it's hard to say that these things are going to get you into any hot water in the long run, because YouTube obviously doesn't care, and it would seem that neither do the majority of audiences. Just the vocal minority, the minority which I happen to be a part of. Anyways, that's the video, guys. Like it, don't like it, let me know. This video is just to wrap up my YouTube Issues exposure series and how I kind of view exposure on YouTube, and to be honest, it is not easy. Sure, you can get extremely lucky and get someone big to shout you out right off the bat, but it's not likely. And sure, you could wait it out, but it's going to be a very long time until you've reached a large audience. I mean, look at Colossal is Crazy. He's regarded as one of the best commentators on YouTube, and we probably wouldn't even know who he was at this moment if not for his shoutouts from Pyrocynical. Shark Pride for life, bruh.